Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel, Bass Brothers Fishing. About to do a long awaited project on my John boat, the Rona, and that's installing a jack plate. And if you guys have followed this channel, you guys know that I run two different motors on this boat. I run an electric motor because 99% of the lakes in our area in Maryland is all electric. There's no gas motors allowed. But I do run my gas motor when I do hit rivers and some of the other bodies of water that actually allows a gas motor. I run the Mercury 9.9. The ePropulsion motor that I'm running is a 9.9 equivalent as well. So both of these run the same horsepower. I've got the Atlas Micro jack plate right here already unboxed. Picked it up from TH Marine. This is rated for 115 horsepower and I think 400 plus pound motors. So this is more than equipped to handle my motors. For the smaller motors, they don't necessarily fit on here with the holes that are already drilled into the jack plate. I also picked up the clamp adapter. They do sell an adapter that allows you to use the clamps on your motor to secure it down to the jack plate. It's really simple setup when you buy this jack plate. It comes already wired. You've got your positive lead. It does come fused right there on both of these. You've got your toggle switch to make it go up and down. You've got your negative lead as well. Everything is already wired all into one terminal connector right here. And that's awesome. So you don't have to do any of that. And then you've got your two relays right here, which looks like you can mount them to your boat just to keep them secure as well. Got a little faceplate for your switch, up and down switch, as well as a waterproof little slip-on protector for your toggle switch. And then I just picked up some bolts from Lowe's just to secure everything in. This does not come with bolts, unfortunately. You have to get your own. The clamp adapter does come with bolts. I think these are 3/8. But I'll leave all of that in the description below, exactly what I use to make this install happen, so you can find it really easy. You don't have to do any research or looking or trying to figure it out on your own. It's all in the description below. So again, if you follow this channel, you know that I picked up the ePropulsion Navy 6.0 motor. And one of the issues I'm having is even though this is a short shaft motor, it's way too long for the boat. Short shaft normally means 15-inch, which is what the Mercury is. They got it right. I'm sorry, ePropulsion, but yours is just way too long to be considered a short shaft. So I'm gonna put the jack plate in to raise this motor up and be able to allow this boat to plane much better, and hopefully, and the plan is to be able to get more speed out of this boat. Besides that, it'll allow me to protect my motor a little bit better. I've had a couple of funny instances on the channel. You can check them out where I've actually got the motor wedged on the ground and the boat stuck and all that. So this will allow me to raise up that motor and keep it safe. So I don't consider this a really big project. It's pretty straightforward. So first thing I'm gonna do is just dry fit it. I wanna see how it's gonna fit onto the boat, but I'm gonna try to at least clamp it on there and get the sizing and the measurements right before I actually start drilling holes into the transom. So I just had to remove the tubing for my bilge pump. It'll be in the way of the jack plate. The jack plate's actually about this wide. So I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna handle that. So first thing I wanna do is just hold this up here and make sure I'm getting the correct height. And what I mean by that is, for my situation, I want the top of this adapter, which is what the motor will clamp onto, to be the exact same height of the actual transom of the boat. And I want that because the 9.9 Mercury motor I have, it's a short shaft. In order for that motor to be in the right depth of the water, I cannot have it raised up any higher, okay? That's just based on the measurements that I've done myself of the shaft and seeing where the motor sits when the motor is on the actual transom of the boat. And this is at the lowest setting right now. This jack plate is really about being able to raise up that electric ePropulsion motor up some. Mercury is fine at the level that it's at right now. So I've got the jack plate in the right position, right where I need it to be. It's not too high, it's not too low. It's just at the same height that it was already existing, as if the motor was on the transom. I've got the motor clamp adapter on here. I measured my height, make sure it's level. So all I'm gonna do now is start drilling my holes. I'm using 1/2-inch hardware. As I was drilling the first two holes into the transom, just my luck, ran into issues basically drilling into the framing that I've already done for my rear deck. So that created a whole nother issue, and I basically had to take apart a lot of my rear deck to fix it. As you can see right here, the first bolt came right out here. I even drilled through a little bit of my framing here. So I ended up modifying the frame a little bit, just making some space for the bolt. And that took some time. I mean, little thing like that just took a lot of time to just keep fitting, refitting, getting it to where I can service these bolts with the framing in place, being able to have it so that my wrench can get in there whenever I need to on both sides. So with all that said, you know, I had to pull out my LED lights. I got to get all that stuck back up underneath here. I still got a couple pieces of framing to rivet back in. I'm gonna drill out the top holes. I'm gonna do one here as well, and one on this side, and then put two at the bottom, one on each side. Got the hole drilled through, and by the way, you will need one of these extenders, by the way, just to be able to get the drill past the jack plate and drill all the way through. All right, so I've got the motor on here, and I do have a problem. As you can see, if I lower this motor down anymore, it's actually going to hit the transom on the clamps right here. Man, that is a heartbreaker, because I'm about not even half an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch too close to the transom, creating this problem for me. Where I have it positioned right now, I have 2.5 inches, I don't know, somewhere around 2 inches that I can lower this down, and I actually need to, because at the position that this is at right now, the motor and the prop is sitting too high, and that will be a problem as I'm trying to run the boat. So I'm gonna need to solve for that. As with everything else, when you're doing DIY stuff, it's all about problem solving more than anything else. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my ePropulsion motor on here and see how that fits, to see if I have a problem there too. And if I do, I ultimately need to solve for both motors, how they sit on this jack plate. Let's get the ePropulsion on here. Wish me luck, guys, seriously, wish me luck. All right, I've got the ePropulsion motor on here, and double bummer. Yeah, this one sticks out even more. So my clamps are like in the center of the transom. All right, so if I lower this motor down anymore, these are gonna hit the transom. It's actually not a problem for this motor technically, because I need this motor raised up, which is the whole purpose of me getting this jack plate. So I don't need to lower this past here anyway. I'll probably end up running this motor with the jack plate at least raised halfway up, or maybe somewhere between halfway and all the way up top, in order to get the prop in the right position to get more efficiency out of this motor. I could keep this as it is right now and just make sure I don't lower it past the clamps. I don't want to damage my equipment here, but I would have to manually monitor that and just be careful with it. I'd have to add a piece of metal here to bring the entire jack plate out. Definitely for the Mercury motor, if I put a 1/4 inch piece of aluminum right here, that would solve the problem. Let's get on to other problem solving. I talked about how the screw-on clamp would hit the transom. So what I did was I took the plate that came with the jack plate adapter, and I said, okay, this is a 1/4 inch thick. Let me at least use this just to create the gap. So by spacing this out a 1/4 inch, which I've done temporarily with this piece right here, these clamps clear the back of the transom. Excellent. Now for the last problem, that was actually a complete deal breaker for me, but I think I've solved for it. The screws on the clamp actually hit the jack plate itself when I lower the bolt down on the jack plate. So what I'll end up doing is probably taking an angle grinder and just shaving down enough of the jack plate on this corner, just so that my motor can go up and down and clear the screw-on clamps right here. This is definitely turning out to be a much bigger project than I anticipated. I shook my head at that many times, like this is a deal breaker, it'll never work. But I just try to regroup, stay calm, keep thinking, and try to figure out how can I make this work? How can I make it work? I need to be able to swap out these motors whenever I want to, depending on where I'm fishing. I went to my local metal shop and picked up 2 pieces of aluminum sheeting. This is 1/2 inch thick. And because these plates are a little bit heavy, I'm gonna take some time to cut away a little excess aluminum that'll be sticking out. Also, just be a uniform shape along with the jack plate. You know, weight adds up really quickly, and on small boats, weight matters. I can't stress that enough. I'm gonna go ahead and trace this out, cut off the excess aluminum. I gotta drill some pilot holes right here. I got both pieces cut, did the best I could to make it as uniform as possible, but I think it came out pretty well. I do have a problem on this side because when I drilled out these holes, one of these holes actually got drilled in at an angle. So lesson to you guys out there, if you're drilling, don't lose focus. Make sure your drill bit is held at the correct angle. And with boats can be a little bit more difficult because the transom is at an angle as well. So you got to account for the angle of the transom on your boat as you're drilling through the whole time. I saw when I did that, and it wasn't an issue just putting a jack plate up. It still went in straight even though one of these screws are a little crooked. But as you put more and more material out there, the boat no longer is able to pass all the way through, and that's what's happening here. So I'm gonna have to widen out these holes a little bit to compensate for my mistake there. That way I can make sure this sits flush, because right now it's not going all the way flush against the transom. So I widened the holes out a bit. I didn't have a drill bit bigger than 1/2 inch, so I just used my step drill and went right down through it. This is a step drill bit, and it widens the hole in phases, and it really just ate right through the aluminum. So nice little handy drill bit to have. So I just changed out my bolts to 4-inch bolts. I had to do that from 3.5 because with adding the extra 1/2 inch aluminum here, I didn't have enough bolt for the nut to hold on to. So I got the motor on here. I can already see that the clearance is there for the motor to go all the way down, but let's test it, see how it goes. Mission complete. Clamps are clearing the boat. One more thing I want to show you guys. So when you buy the clamp-on adapter, it comes with this plate as well for you to use to screw your motor into the actual jack plate. This motor is a small motor. It does not reach the pre-drill holes that are in the jack plate for this. So I need to install this up here. See if I can slide it in here. I'll install this here. Just doing a little rough cut right now. That way I can screw my motor into this plate. And guys, if you aren't securing your motor to your boat, do it. It's not worth not doing it. You don't want your motor to come flying off while you're driving on the road or on the water and it's at the bottom of the lake. Either scenarios you don't want to deal with. That's catastrophic. You're going to lose your outboard motor. So my advice, go ahead and screw these in either in your transom or in your jack plate. So I actually think I got this in a really good spot. I think I'll actually drill them out while I have it on the boat. Let's do that. So before I go shaving the actual jack plate so that I can lower this motor, I'm gonna go ahead and get this in here, drill it out, and keep going. So I've done everything to install this for the Mercury motor. Got the plate installed and drilled through each side of the motor to be able to secure the motor to the jack plate. What I'm going to do now is do the same exact thing for the ePropulsion electric motor. The clamp for the motor is very short. I actually marked these blue marks right here. This is where I need to drill through to be able to screw the motor into the jack plate. I'll be drilling through, I think I got 1.5 inches worth of aluminum right here to drill through, so that's going to be fun. Get that done. So I've taken the motor off. I've gotten all 4 holes drilled out, 2 for ePropulsion, 2 for the Mercury, and I'll have to get the right size 5/16 bolts for that. Both sizes I bought. One is too short, one is too long. I'll pick up the right bolts from the hardware store. So I've got really 2 steps left on this jack plate install. One is to drill through the transom, and this is the part I am dreading the most because this will be below the water level. We're gonna fill up these holes big time with 5200. Don't want any leaking. This is actually my first time drilling into my boat below the water line. Wish there was another way, but it's the only way. Guys, keep your fingers crossed. We're going in. All done. Got 1 bolt there on this side. Got my last bolt drilled out on this side right there. All I need to do now is just do my notch outs. So I need to notch out some of the aluminum from the jack plate right here and right here. Got it done. Notched out the space right here and this space right here. So the motor is now all the way in its lowest position, and that's what I needed for the Mercury motor. So very happy about that. I don't have to make any more adjustments to this jack plate or the extension plates or anything like that. It is ready. It is ready to go, and I can go ahead and do the final installation. All right, so right now I'm gonna start shaving down the paint away from the different holes that I'm gonna seal up with 5200. And I'm doing that because I want the 5200 to have a good adhesion to the actual aluminum of the boat, creating that watertight seal. And I've got the 2 holes that I had in here from securing the motor to the actual transom of the boat. I'm gonna stick some bolts through here with 5200 as well. So I'll be sanding down these 2. So that's just how I'm gonna go about sealing up these 2 holes right here. I'm gonna go with the fast cure stuff, which is the red one. I do have the blue one, but this takes 7 days to cure, and I do wanna go fishing in like 4 days. So I'm gonna go with the 1-day cure. Rule number 1 with 5200, you have to wear gloves. This is some of the messiest stuff. It never fails. It will get on your skin, and it's very hard to get off. So I'm actually gonna start from the inside and fill these holes up, and that's basically the idea for all of them, but I'm gonna do these 2 first because once I put the jack plate on, I won't have access to these holes anymore. Sanded down the plates, the inside of the plates that will make contact with the boat. Got your little faceplate right here, up, down, Michael Jacker. All done. Switch is in, ready to go. All I have left is to just tidy up these wires, get the back deck back on, drop the motor on there, and we are done. Got the motor back on the boat. Everything fit perfectly. The through bolts I put in here, I was able to find the right length, 5/16 inch bolts right there, and have lock nuts on the other side. The motor is secured in, it will not come off. It's at the lowest position right now. Cannot wait to get this thing out on the water. In just a couple days, I will be testing this out. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that the tube for my bilge pump was in the way of the jack plate. So I was actually able to use the same C-clamp I had here. This is more of a temporary thing for me. I'll go ahead and raise it up and down right now. So I typically run this boat from this side, left hand on the motor. So the idea is I can run the boat. If and when I'm on plane, I need to make any adjustments, I can use my other hand and just reach down at the toggle switch, raise it up as I'm running the boat. Or if I'm just running the boat, looking around, graphing, and I come up into shallow water, I don't have to do anything. I can just reach right down and hit the toggle switch as well. So it's at its lowest position right now. I'll go ahead and raise it up. There we go, guys. So all the way at the very top, I will never run this motor this high up because the prop will be out of the water. But with the ePropulsion motor, which I'm not going to demo for you guys today, I will need to raise that up, which is the main reason I got this jack plate. So right now, this is at the highest position, no problems at all. And this jack plate, I believe the total distance it raises up, I think, and don't quote me guys, I think it's advertised for a 6-inch raise. And then with putting the clamp adapter on, that alone raises it another 2 inches or 3 inches. So I couldn't even tell you the total lift right now, but it is a big difference. You have a lot of room to play with. And also depending where you mount the jack plate on your transom, you can play with heights as well. So I'm super excited about this. You guys have no idea. This project was a lot bigger than I anticipated, but that was more because of my situation. But I'm done, and man, I cannot wait to get this thing out on the water. I'm gonna do a performance test, a speed test for both motors. So stick around to the channel, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that. I can't wait to get out and test this all out and share the results with all of you. Stick around for more John Boat content. Got more stuff on the to-do list. I apologize. My production has been really slow this winter for a lot of different reasons, but we're gonna ramp things up, get stuff out on the channel. I'll leave information in the description for the hardware I use to install this. And for the actual jack plate, you can actually pick this jack plate up at tbnation.net and use our discount code BBF5 to get 5% off of your order. Affiliate purchases like that help to fund this channel and keep content going out to you guys. As always, guys, stay safe out there. We'll see you on the next video.